is breaking news on 2 News at 6.
Detectives were notified. They've come out and they're working the crime scene, following up on leads, trying to identify who this individual is.
Breaking at 6, new details about a Christmas Eve stabbing. Police just released shocking events that led up to a woman finding a body on the sidewalk in her West Valley City neighborhood.
Christmas morning is supposed to be quiet, warm, and full of hope. But on a silent sidewalk in West Valley City, Utah, that peace was shattered when a man was found lying still, bleeding, and already gone. His name was Jose Humberto Alvarado. He was 45 years old. And the story of how he ended up there is disturbing, complicated, and filled with moments that will make you stop and ask yourself some uncomfortable questions. Before we go any further, let me ask you something real quick. Stories like this don't get told unless people care enough to listen. So if you're here, take a second to like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, share it with someone who thinks deeply about human behavior, subscribe to Mystoracrimes, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next case. Because once you hear how this unfolds, you'll understand why these conversations matter. Now let's slow down and step into the hours before Jose was found. On Christmas Eve, December 24th, there was a gathering at a home on Atlas Way in West Valley City. It wasn't unusual. Family, familiar faces, the kind of setting where people relax because they feel safe. Jose was there with his girlfriend, 39-year-old Fabiola Lara. Nothing about the night suggested it would end in death, at least not at first. But sometime after midnight, everything changed. Around 1:30 a.m., police received a disturbing call from that same home. According to reports later shared by investigators, Jose was allegedly caught in a deeply troubling situation involving an 11-year-old girl, a relative of Fabiola. The allegation was that he was seen attempting to remove the child's leggings. The call to police was immediate. Fear, anger, and shock filled that house. By the time officers arrived, Jose was gone. He had fled on foot into the night. Think about that moment for a second. A house full of people shaken by what was just witnessed. Police searching, but coming up empty. And somewhere nearby, Jose moving through the dark with whatever consequences were already catching up to him. What happened next is where the tension tightens. Investigators believe there was a confrontation outside the house before Jose left the area. Emotions were high. Words were exchanged. And during that confrontation, police allege that Fabiola Lara stabbed Jose. This is not a conviction, but an allegation supported by evidence police later gathered. Jose didn't collapse right there. Instead, injured and bleeding, he walked away. As the hours passed, the neighborhood slept. Christmas morning slowly arrived. Lights came on in homes. A neighbor stepped outside to walk their dog, expecting nothing more than a peaceful holiday routine. Then they saw him. Jose Humberto Alvarado was lying unresponsive on the sidewalk near Thane Drive and 4500 West. Emergency crews were called, but it was already too late. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Police quickly noted what appeared to be a fatal stab wound. As officers secured the area, they noticed something else, a blood trail. That trail led them back through the quiet streets, right to the Atlas Way residence where the party had taken place hours earlier. That connection changed everything. What first appeared to be a man found dead in the street now looked like the final chapter of a violent, chaotic night. As detectives pieced together the timeline, surveillance footage became crucial. Video from the home reportedly shows Jose leaving the garage area injured. No dramatic chase. No loud scene in the street. Just a wounded man walking away, step by step, until his body finally gave out.
One neighbor, wanting only to be identified as Steve, told me he came outside to the sound of fire trucks Christmas morning.
And I saw a lady sitting on the curb. She was filling out a report. Another neighbor was over there talking to her, and he said that there was a dead guy on the sidewalk.
Steve told me he stayed and comforted the woman who came across Alvarado and described seeing a gruesome scene.
We all saw blood along the sidewalk. Where he's at, there's a big pool of blood, and then, of course, there was blood going down our street, down towards an elementary school a couple of blocks away.
Fabiola Lara was taken into custody and later booked into the Salt Lake County Metro Jail on a murder charge. The investigation remains ongoing, and prosecutors will ultimately decide how the case proceeds in court. Police have been careful to state what is alleged, what is supported by evidence, and what still needs to be proven. Neighbors were left stunned. Many described the area as quiet, the kind of place where nothing ever happens.
Unfortunate that it happens on Christmas morning, but this is usually a relatively quiet, nice neighborhood, and this just happened to happen on a bad day.
To wake up on Christmas and learn that someone died just steps from their homes left people shaken and uneasy. And then there's a part of this case that makes it even harder to process. The allegation involving a child earlier that night casts a long shadow over everything that followed. It raises painful questions about protection, justice, and how quickly situations can spiral when emotions collide with fear and anger. This is where the story takes a psychological turn. If the allegations are true, what goes to the mind of someone confronted with such an accusation? Is the act of fleeing driven by guilt, panic, or survival instinct? And on the other side, if you believe someone you love has harmed a child, what does that do to your sense of control? Your sense of right and wrong in that moment? Was this an act of self-defense in someone's mind? A moment of rage? A breaking point after an unthinkable discovery? Or something else entirely? Police continue to canvass the neighborhood, asking residents to check doorbell and porch cameras from the overnight hours. Every step, every shadow, every second matters now. Because in cases like this, truth doesn't usually arrive all at once. It comes in fragments. Jose Humberto Alvarado is no longer here to tell his version of events. A family is grieving. Another family is facing accusations that could change their lives forever. And a community is left trying to understand how Christmas morning turned into a crime scene. So let me ask you this. When does protection turn into punishment? Can a single moment erase everything that came before it? And how should the justice system weigh alleged actions against alleged reactions when the outcome is irreversible? Most importantly, if you were placed in that situation with fear, anger, and shock colliding all at once, do you really know how you would respond? I want to hear your thoughts. Drop them in the comments. Let's talk about it. If stories like this make you think deeper about human behavior, morality, and justice, support Mystoracrimes by liking, sharing, subscribing, and turning on the bell. Because these cases don't just tell us what happened. They force us to confront who we are.